Everyone, Maury Dunbar here back at Painted Studio. Welcome in on a very chilly in Chicago Tuesday afternoon. Yesterday we worked on our little painted animals. We finished up ornaments and then we started a panel. So we're going to work on the next steps today. Now the ornaments are all finished. Once they got dry, I put top coat on them. I sealed them up, and look how cute this little snowman is. Very simple, but it was done for conversation of how to create your own stains, what stains we carry, what kind of things we can do. Ignore my manicure. It beat it to hell yesterday, and I need to get it done. Broke a whole lot of nails off, so I'm kind of a mess. So we then talked about these resin animal heads and how I was going to paint them black and then we're going to gild them. And I have red metallic leaf to work with, which you'll see today before the end of this live, but we're also going to talk about the different gold sizes that we're going to use. And then finally, we're going to do some epoxy pouring onto our panel to move on to the next step before it's ready to be have our Whitson's gesso applied to it and make punch gilding on the framing of it. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to flip this camera down. By the way, I just haven't gotten around to putting the little ribbon on it, but look how cute our little mushroom ornament is with that twinkle Roberson's on there on top of the red stain that we made using our primary elements and the water-based stain-based, I have trouble saying that for some reason. It's like a tongue twister for me. The water-based stain base from Old Masters. Okay, I got to stop talking about that because it's getting me messy. All right, let me flip this camera a little bit. I shifted the position of my camera a little bit and now I'm struggling to get my placing on it. Okay, so we're going to be working with two different sizes today. One is water-based, that's R.C. Roberson and Company acrylic gold size. And we're going to be using the Manetti 3-hour oil-based size. Now, there's a couple of reasons to use these two different products. First of all, oil-based size is interior-exterior rated. Water-based size is not. This can also actually act as a ambering top coat on things too. I'm sure some of you remember have used ducks, and you may have also used oh god, I've forgotten the name of it because they've gone out of business. It was absolutely my favorite oil-based size. But the Manetti, the one thing about this being a 3-hour size, it's not a true 3-hour size. I'll apply this now and it will be ready tomorrow. It's far closer to a 12-hour size unless you add high-quality turpentine to it, which then speeds the drying time for you to be able to gild on it. However, I don't like that because it shifts how shiny it is, which is another reason I use oil-based size. It levels out differently than water-based size, so it's shinier, and my metals are much shinier over it. So, the water-based size, the benefits are A, it sets up quickly. You're ready to go in 15-20 minutes to gild. B, it's very easy. It's soap and water cleanup, so you don't have to worry about your tools. And C, it's a great product. Now this product, this Roberson's, will get me as close to an oil-based sheen as any water-based size will ever get you. Will it get to the high gloss level of Manetti? No, but Manetti is glossier than anyone I've ever worked with too. So I like that. And the reason you want gloss with your metals is simple. If you're making all this effort to put gold or any other metal on something, you want it to look amazing. You want that metal to be really clear of what it is. Now, one of the fun things is with oil-based sizes, it gets a skin up here. Does it hurt anything? No. So, but when you open it up, because these bottles, we can't exactly put plastic down to the surface on them. We just kind of tear into it, open a hole. It'll do that, and then it'll probably create, it'll get itself back over on it. It'll reform hard. And that's all I'm taking right now. I will put this on everything else after this live, but I'm just going to show you the difference in application. Now, the other thing is, don't mix up your oil and your water-based brushes. It will make a mess. The oil base here has to be cleaned up with mineral spirits. Water-based, soap and water. So that means you've got to have a brush that you've soaked in mineral spirits, and there's always residue on brushes, and it changes your brush. You don't want to then use this in water-based products. You want to save it and keep it oils. I have personally 2 different rolls for paintbrushes, or I should say I used to keep 2 rolls. Everything that's on my desk over here, those are water-based brushes, with the exception of this one because I left it out specifically. In my gilding area, I have a roll of brushes only for oil-based gilding, or oil-based products, so that I don't mix them up and mess them up. Now, the oil-based size has odor. It smells like an oil paint. It does not have the super harsh, aggressive smell that solvent-borne acrylics and stuff have. It smells like a little linseed oil. Has that wonderful oil paint smell. That's the only way I can try. Now, I happen to love that smell. It does not bother me at all. Some people don't like it, wear a respirator, or don't use it. Water-based size has no smell. Yeah, I shouldn't say no smell. It smells a little bit like wet dog, but so mildly. You know, it smells like acrylic. It doesn't smell like, I mean, at this point, it's as close to zero smell as you're going to ever get. And it's really so no smell that you can not really smell it unless you're looking to smell it. You'd have to put your nose up into it. Now, this will be ready to go in about 12 hours, which is 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not going to be gilding then. But it will be good for another 12 hours, so it will be good to go until 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So I've got a 24-hour window for the most part. And this extent, there's lots of factors with applying gold sizes. Oh, I got glass beads floating around. One of them is if it's cold and a little damp, it takes longer for the size to set up. So as soon as I put size on everything, I'm turning off the heaters and I'm letting it be a little chilly down here, because that will slow my cure time down, which will guarantee me enough work time, which I think is fantastic. Unfortunately, I can't do this early tomorrow morning. I have an appointment that I have to be at, but I will be back to do it tomorrow afternoon. So let's get this going. And I'll just set this brush to the side right now because I'll pull out my mineral spirits. Boy, am I struggling with words today. I'll pull out my mineral spirits later and put it into soak. Now, the other thing that affects this is how thickly you apply it. Now, I'm being a little extra generous right now because we have a lot of texture in here, but also I want to make sure it's still usable tomorrow. If I came back in like 3 hours, it would just be a big gummy mess. If I needed to use this in 3 hours, I would have had to thin it with high quality turpentine to make that go. And yes, turpentine is what you use, not mineral spirits, not anything else, to thin this product. And that is part of the technical information from Manetti for this product, is that you thin it with high quality turpentine. Now, anybody who's new to gilding, this is important information so you don't waste your size and get it on something else. For those of you who are very familiar with gilding, you already know this. I go through phases of knowing things and then suddenly not knowing them because I have no memory. I have no brain sometimes, I swear to you. All right, so this one, our little mouse guy, I'm going to apply some water-based gold leaf size. take another one of these. Are little shot glasses I get at Party City. You've seen me use them before. So I'm just putting in a little, and this you need very little of, and it is much thinner in consistency. If you look here, this is very watery. You can see this is like syrup. Another difference. And like I said, next to no odor. Maybe a little bit of an Elmer's glue smell to it. Now you have to watch this. This you don't put on thick ever, because it runs, it dribbles. It's super thin. And I have used every water-based gold leaf size that I can get my hands on. I'm not impressed with stuff like Mona Lisa. It's good in a pinch. Do I think it gives the same shine as this product? Nope, not at all. Do I think Wanda works this as well as this? No. The answer is no. I am very, very, very picky about my gilding products. Even if I'm not the world's greatest gilder, if there's going to be a failure of sorts, it's going to be because I screwed up, not because my product failed. And that's an important thing to know, because a lot of times we blame failures on product when the product is perfectly fine. It's user error, and I'm more than willing to take user error blame for things as long as I can say that I had the best quality products and I just didn't do it right. And that happens to everybody. So here we go. We're going to get this guy dry, and I'll be able to put leaf on him very soon. We'll get some leaf on him, and I'll probably have missed spots because I always do. I always miss a little something when I'm applying gold leaf size. It's very easy to do, although being over black, it helps because I can see this. The fact that this is a white acrylic product makes it really easy. And if you remember, these were sort of like a bad gold. It was this gold, but really kind of glazed over and rustic looking and kind of not great. So we painted them with black set coat from Faux Effects. And now I'm applying the gold leaf size carefully and slowly. I'm going very, very slowly. Yes, I know I didn't get that ear. That is my ear to grab onto, just like I'm grabbing onto the bow tie to work the product on. Again, you can see I am putting very, very little product in here. Why? You don't want it to pool. Pooling means that those areas will take longer to set up, and the tack will not be even, meaning it'll be really sticky in some places and not sticky in others, and you don't want that because then it gets gummy. And so when you lay your leaf down, it affects the shine. It's not as pretty. You want it even and as smooth as you can. Now, obviously, with texture like this, you don't get it exactly smooth. It will pool a little tiny bit in the crevices, but you go back and take off as much as you can. So now I've got it all on, and I can take a piece of paper towel or a rag. I happen to have a rag here. I brush my brush off, and I come back in and I just pull back a little bit. I would normally do that on there, but I want to keep the extra product on there so it sets up a little slower, and I've got a little more work time tomorrow. Okay, let's get in here, get those eyeballs. I did not paint or do anything to the bow and to the glasses yet. I want to get all the gilding done so that if I accidentally touch a little gold leaf size to the areas that I wanted gold, it's an easier touch up, clean up, whatever. All right, so we're going to set those two aside. I'm going to put that brush in the water. I'm going to put my cap. I'm going to pour this back in here. Well, actually, I think I'll leave it over there because I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do the others after our live, and one of them will have gold, acrylic gold size on there instead of oil, so that there is a pattern in the shines and it's balanced out. Let me take this off of here, and I'm going to lift this. I'm not going to take them off the paper. I'm just going to set them down next to me. Come on, come up. Oh, I'm taking other things with me. More paper is coming with me. I spilled stuff on the desk the other day, so now everything's sticking to each other. Okay, so we have that. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to start with mixing epoxy. Let me put my gloves on. Do not ever try to mix epoxy without wearing gloves. It'll be permanently a part of your life, and it's really bad for your skin. You don't want to do that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take off my watch and my bracelet so I don't I can tuck them under the glove, but things have a tendency, because I don't wear things tight, they shift. So I want to actually set them to the side and work to not coat myself. If I get it on my arms, I can get it off. If I get it on a piece of jewelry, I can probably get 99% off of it, and then there'll be the one spot that'll be icky, and it'll really irritate the crap out of me. All right, let's do this. I got my gloves on. We are using art resin 2-part epoxy. This is the hardener or the resin? I can't remember. This is the resin, and here's the hardener. Now, I've had these for a while. They yellow a little bit in the jar. It doesn't matter. It won't hurt anything. Once you mix it up, it goes clear. Plus, we're putting some pigments in here, so truly, it won't matter. All right, let's pour a bunch of the hardener. And you need this to be even. Even. Why? Because if you get too much hardener and not enough resin, it will start to harden in the container before you even get a chance to pour it. It can happen. I've had it happen on me. If you get too much resin, not enough hardener, you can have soft patches, you can have resin that just doesn't even cure. Resin also does not like to be cold. Oh, I forget, this one has got the funky cap that I've kind of messed up. Resin does not want to be poured under 65 degrees. It does not cure well under 65 degrees. My studio is never under 65 degrees, so I'm not terribly concerned. Even if I turn the heat off, I'm turning space heaters off. I'm not turning off the overall ambient heating. And it just needs to be absolutely 50-50. If you cannot eyeball the way I do, which is not something most people do, you need to measure, and measure well. Keep a set of measuring cups, buy them from the dollar store, and then wipe them out with alcohol when you're done. Scrape them clean, wipe them out. All right, that's good. Let me check, hold them up. Again, let me measure them this way. Yep, we're good to go. So, I like to measure a couple times, just checking. If I was measuring really precisely to have, so I don't like I'm not a person who measures out the amount of epoxy I need for most projects because I'm working small. If you're not working small, you're working large, you need to figure out how much square footage you need, all of that stuff. That's not hard to do, but then you measure your epoxy to meet that need. And usually when I do something like that, I pour about 5 or 6% over, so I have a little workroom in case I've measured wrong, poured wrong, whatever. Oh, there's a little piece of something in there that doesn't belong in there. There we go. So once you're ready to mix it, you put this together, you scrape one container into the other. Don't just pour it and set it to the side. You want to scrape everything out because you want to keep that measure even. You can use a scraper, you know, like a scraping spatula for a mixture. I've got those. I just don't have a small one at the moment. It disappeared. But you want to mix this all up. Scrape every last little bit you can get out of here. I can take my finger and come in here and get it all off. And that will create the need for a new cup or a new pair of gloves eventually. But the next thing I'm going to do is stir. Now you can stir aggressively or you can stir gently. One of the things you need to notice is as I'm stirring, it gets cloudy. Those are the two chemicals mixing. Once it is completely clear, not a trace of that cloudiness in there, it is ready to be poured. But when you're doing it, make sure you scrape the sides, make sure you scrape the bottom, because if you get it clear in the center and you haven't done your edges, it's not going to cure properly. So this is a chemical reaction. This product is specifically a chemical reaction. So you need to be aware of what it's going to take to make it work. Now I can set it on here, but I can't tell when it's turning clear because it's a clear product on white paper and it just looks cloudy all the time. So I'm just stir this in my hand. Some people will mix this in a different container. They will put it like on a coffee cup warmer on low. That helps raise the bubbles. Keep it a little warmer is always a good thing. Epoxy flows better as long as it's warm, but it doesn't have to be hot. Don't make it hot, you're making it cure faster. Epoxy like this is, our art resin epoxy is 100% food safe. It's zero, it's no odor. They say no odor. I say I can smell it a little tiny bit. So if you have any sensitivity to epoxy, to part epoxy at all, wear a respirator with it. I have no reaction to it at all. The other thing is that if you mix aggressively, you might start seeing bubbles flying. Sorry, I'm leaning my arm on the table while mixing and that's shaking the camera. Don't breathe those bubbles in because you are breathing epoxy into your lungs. You don't want to do that. You can actually embed it on your lungs, so don't do that. All right, we're still cloudy. This can take up to a couple minutes to turn clear. If I'm more aggressive in my mixing, obviously it's faster. I just don't always feel aggressive. It's a great way to work out frustrations, but if you're not feeling aggressive, well, then you're not going to need to stir that hard. And I switch back and forth because my hands get tired. It doesn't get tired of the stirring, it gets tired of holding the little popsicle stick. Okay, we're about ready. Let's give it a little more. I want to make sure I've stirred well, that I've scraped everything, that I'm not missing anything. Because the last thing I want is to not have this work well. And whatever I don't use for this project, I'll pour into one of my silicone molds over in the corner, and that'll be something else. I don't know, maybe it'll be a drawer knob or something. Okay. If you all remember, I used to pour silicone molds by the ton, teaching you all how to do things like that. Well, I haven't done that for a couple of years just because I had so many things that I poured out of silicone that I was selling them at our local farmers market for a couple summers. I needed to clear the space. All right. I'm going to take these gloves off because they're gooey. I'm going to grab a fresh pair. I can, if I am of a mind, go through 3 or 4 pairs of these gloves during pourings, because I need to be able to free up my hands to touch things and not have them be sticky. And we're going to do a couple interesting things today. We're going to make 2 very, very pale mixtures with our Resin Art epoxy pigment. So I'm going to put in quite a bit. I mean, again, this is more, way more than I'm going to need, but I want to have more rather than less. Okay, that's there. Get 2 mixing sticks over here. And I just got my iPad replaced through AppleCare. Very happy about that. But it means that my iPad doesn't always work right now with, I'm re-logging into everything. Okay, these are powder pigments for epoxy. A little goes a very long way, so I'm literally just taking the tiniest amount and putting it in here because I want this very, very transparent. I just want enough in here to turn it a little bit green. And I just went so light that I didn't even get enough in there. So let's see if I can get a little more off of the lid. I want it just to kind of create a little bit of cloudiness when I pour it. And you can see that there are still chunks of pigment in there, so we're going to let that sit for a minute. And I'll probably come back and put a little more green. Ooh, that was a lot more than I meant to get in there. But it's still transparent. I can still see through it. So that's good. There's just a couple chunks that need to kind of dissolve into this. Now you cannot use regular colorants, regular powder pigments, regular anything in epoxy, because epoxy, most pigments are designed to dissolve in water, not in a chemical acrylic mixture. There's no water in here to dissolve some of the stuff we're normally thinking of dissolving. Now this one is our Resin Art in True Silver. And I'm just going to make that a very pale mixture as well. Again, I do not want opacity, I want sheer coverage. Now, the silver is much more opaque than the green, so I had put just a little bit in, and I'm glad it was just a little tiny bit, because otherwise it would block out everything that we're about to do. But you can see it's sort of cloudy, and that'll work well with what we're doing. So I'm going to close these 2 up before I do something dumb and make it worse. And we're going to play with alcohol inks with this and silicone oils as well. So we're going to do some interesting stuff here. Let's get this mixed up a little more so that my chunks are dissolved. And unfortunately, it's really, really transparent, so I can see the chunks and just kind of tap them with my stick here, and smush them into the epoxy. And if it, even if there's a chunk or little tiny, I mean, when I say chunk, I mean, I'm talking like the size of the head of a pin at the most. We're not talking chunky texture or anything else. It's just a little bit of undissolved pigment. So these from Resin Art, they're metallic, they're gorgeous. I've worked with these for years now. And the more you put in, the more solid the opacity is. You can get this super opaque with this, or you can do what I'm doing, which is transparency. All right, so let's grab our panel. As you can see, I decided to paint the whole thing green, gold instead, because I wanted some consistency underneath. Now we're going to also put gesso and other products here, so don't even think twice about the fact that this is gold. That's not what we're going to do. The actual thing will end up being silver. Let me zoom in. Now I just checked. I'm at 19% on my my Mevo here, so we've been using it a lot. So it shouldn't go dead while we're working, but it could. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is take this and pour it around the edge. I want to kind of obscure this a little bit. Again, if I need more product, I can always pour more. Okay, so I've got that all the way at the edge. I'm just going to kind of get that in here so it fills all the way. Now my surface may not be 100% level because it's looking a little like things want to push that way. So what I will do is I can take a popsicle stick and use it like a shim. So that will level me out just a little more. Now I'm going to come in with the green. And then I'm going to pour green in the center. Let's see, I'm going to finish off the green, and I think I'm probably going to just pour some clear in here too. Because by the time I'm finished, we're going to have lots and lots of interesting color detail. And again, if I need more, I can mix more. I have work time with this. Okay, let's put a little bit of silver. Well, let's get the clear in first. So that in itself is just so pretty. I'm going to put a little silver here, just a couple drops in. Let's play with this a little over here. I know you're probably all looking at me like, what are you doing? Okay, so the next thing before we do another thing, so I'm going to torch this. Now with wood, you got to be careful torching. You don't want to set it on fire. But I do want to raise the bubbles. So if you see me with this torch, I'm going to open this up again. Oops, I'm not opening it. I'm moving it around. Sorry about that. Okay, trying to keep epoxy off my phone. So the torch right here, I am holding it over it and on its side. I am not going in because I'm not going to burn the paper. I'm not going to burn the wood. I'm just allowing the heat over this to raise bubbles and turn this nice and smooth. Okay, and what this will also do now that it's kind of warmed it up again, a little bit, it will liquefy this so that we can play with some alcohol ink in here. Okay, let's get this in. We're going to do it some green. We've been very, very organic in our color choices so far, but I'm also going to take a little blue. And you can see how that alcohol ink just sort of spreads. Sorry, it's been a while since I've opened these, and every time I use them with epoxy, I probably get a little on them. Okay, we're going to get a little in there, and a little in here, and in here. Drop or two there. And I can add more or less as I want. And we're going to take, oh, is this silver? Is this silver? This is, I'm trying to see, oh no, that's pearl. That's what I wanted. I'm going to take a little pearl and we're going to drop that in. Come on. Now, pearl likes to clog up on the tip. Don't ask me why. It just does. So you can see it's already starting to move on its own and getting this lovely kind of look to it. And one area I will create a lot more texture than the other. I will come back, I will do a little of this, I will do a little of that. I kind of want the upper area here to have a little more stuff going on. And then this part can just sort of be a little scattered. And you can use, obviously, any ink you want. I mean, any color inks you want, but you want alcohol inks. This does not work with other products. Then we're going to play with this, and we're going to take some silicone oil. And this is right from the hardware store. I keep it to lubricate door hinges and stuff. And you just take a little bit in here, and it does this kind of weird thing where it laces it out. It will do it on the regular epoxy too, but it does it super fast on the alcohol ink. And it basically sort of acts like a repeller. And as it sinks down, you get more activity with it. And now you see how it's kind of weirdly dispersing and you're getting much more of an interesting look. Now, if I was doing something deeper, I would probably use more tinted epoxies and play with it that way. But with this, I'm just seeing what I can make happen. And this should create some reactions as in the colored stuff as well, but it doesn't necessarily have to. And then I can come back and I can put a little more pearl in here and just see what it does. So I've got this sort of whole organic kind of thing going on that I'm really, really happy with. And you can keep dots formed by not putting stuff in it, but you'll see it'll still want to kind of spread out. That's what alcohol ink wants to do if you don't mix it completely into the epoxy. You can mix it into epoxy, not a problem. You can put it in there and it will make a lovely transparent color. The other thing to remember is alcohol inks have limited light fastness, meaning they can they will fade in direct sunlight. So if you're going to do this on something, please be aware that you can have your stuff fade a little bit. And I always recommend, now epoxy can yellow over time, and I don't mind it if I've planned for it, and that's what I'm planning for with these colors. I want something beautiful to happen, and I know these things will fade and do weird things, or yellow and do strange things, and I'm good with that. And I'm just playing with it to get different things to happen. And I put that silver in the middle of the blue instead of just flowing in one direction. I can kind of control a little more of it and get some more really interesting things happening, because it will eventually react with the silicone. So look at that. And the whole point of obviously keeping it transparent was so that I would still have the under image in there coming through in the background, so it's not completely disappearing. And I'm really happy with how this is looking. This is so pretty. It looks kind of stained glass-ish. I have a friend, April Hallwood, who does these beautiful photographs and coats them in waxes and creates these beautiful misty things, and that's sort of the inspiration for this, even though I'm doing a completely different technique. Okay, now the other thing you have to do is you want to watch where it's leveling. So if I'm leveling in a bad place, I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to shim it because I can see things are flowing a little bit down to this corner. I don't want that. I don't want it to overflow the boundary. So I'm going to make sure I've shimmed it up a little bit. And that should get it back this way. And I just have to figure out what level is. Now my tables have never once been level. Never since the day I started using these tables have they ever, ever, ever been level. Just be aware of that. So I've never expected them to be level. Okay, let's get another stick to shim because I think it's just going to want to keep flowing back that way. Okay, I think I'm leveling a little better there. And this is really pretty. I mean, I could play with this. If this was deeper, I could be playing with this even longer, just because it would play. It's not deeper, and so I need to not fuss with it too much. I don't want to mess up anything. I don't want to overfill it. I don't want to lose what I've been working on. I'm going to leave that like that. And I'm going to pull my gloves off, and I'm actually trying to figure out how I'm going to show you the red leaf without getting it in that, which I have to leave as it is. So give me just a second while I think and clean up this area a little bit. I'll put my alcohol inks out of the way. If there's a place for me to do this, let's put things, I gotta move stuff. Okay. These cups, don't try to wash them out, just throw them out. Whatever you got left, just generally I say throw it out. Just if it's disposable, you can get rid of it. That's what we're gonna do. All right, I'm gonna just carefully move a few things, and maybe I will find a little clear spot and shift the camera over onto another tragically messy part of my table. And grab paper up here, and we'll open the red leaf, and maybe I'll get at least one piece of red leaf on so you can see what I'm talking about. Because if I start leafing too hard, I'll get leaf all into my epoxy. So that's the other thing I'm trying to avoid. Let's pull this guy up. I have a little extra piece of parchment over here. We're going to flip the camera over. I'm sorry, you're going to have to look into my messy areas here. This is the stuff, the mess you normally don't see on camera because I focus a clean area for us. Put that there. Let me put this here like this. Oh, I'm knocking everything over. See, I work to keep things tidy, and then it doesn't work. All right. This little guy should be pretty ready. Now, how do you know your gold leaf size is ready to go? You know when it's about the tackiness of Scotch tape. And actually, you know what? I hate to say it, this is too sticky still. It's still settling. It's still drying. So we're going to have to let that go. All right, let me flip this camera up and talk to you all. All right, come back this way so we're not looking dead into a light. Yeah, I was going to try to do it. We'll have to save that for tomorrow because the water-based gold leaf size is still setting up too. It may be that there's enough humidity in here because of all that I've been doing today that it's not setting up as quickly as it normally does. Sorry, I'm looking around because I'm going to touch up my epoxy here, clean it up a little bit just to get the things leveled out still. Another pair of gloves, third pair of gloves and alive. So that's what we're doing. So I am really pleased with how the epoxy's coming out. I think you're going to love the gold leaf size. We'll be back tomorrow with the live to do more the gilding. I really wanted to show you because I have this amazing red leaf that I'm dying to show you all. And I'm looking to bring it into the studio, and I think you'll really, really like it. But for the moment, we got to let it go because nothing's ready, and that's how things work. All right, everybody. I hope you had a good afternoon. I appreciate you being here with me. Thank you so much. And we'll be back tomorrow with the red gold leaf, well, red metal leaf. And it's not Japanese silver. This is actually probably a colored aluminum, because colored Japanese silver leaf is very brittle. This is not brittle like this. This is much more flexible. All right, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night, and I'll be back soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.